Welcome, everybody, to the Mahjong Talk Show. I'm your host, Peter V, and I don't know what the hell I'm doing, to be honest. This is going to be the first video, and hopefully not the last. So, basically, these little videos are going to be just me playing Mahjong and just talking to you guys, and whatever comes to my head, chaos will ensue, and I will I will splutter my words a bit because this is going to be like the first video, but also like it's a bit of an exercise, working that vocal muscle so I can get used to this and basically just engage with you guys. So where I'm going to be playing mahjong all the time is this site called Mahjong Soul. I'm not sponsored by them or anything like that. I'm just basically playing this game. Actually, it's because of the pandemic. I actually found this game because like one of my best friends was basically saying, "Oh, I miss us playing mahjong like at your house," and I was like, maybe I should look for an online mahjong server so we can play during the pandemic. And lo and behold, that's how we found Mahjong Soul. It's been out since 2019, and I'm just kicking myself in the butt for not discovering this sooner. Um, so, if you guys didn't realize that this was the little icon that I put in my channel, and so I believe I can look up his profile here. And yeah, I have all these different characters. You don't get these characters off the bat. You basically have to pay some money to basically get a chance to earn these characters. The characters that you basically are given by default are Ichihime and Miki Nikaido, and or Nikaido Miki, whichever. I think in Japanese they say the surname first and the first name last, which means that this is not really a first name. It's just basically just your authentic name, I guess. But that's how it is in Japanese. I should know because I studied Japanese for 2 years, but I never actually went to Japan yet. So after the pandemic's over, hopefully I can go to Japan and test out my Japanese, butcher a lot of things, make mistakes, get messy, and uh, that part didn't sound right, but I'm just gonna go with it. So, like the character I'm be playing as is like Saito Asumu or Asumu Saito. Uh, Actually, I never read his profile. Let me take a look at it. Okay, he was definitely taller than me, 190 centimeters. I'm about like 170, I think, in the metric system. I believe 170 or 171. I don't know. Like someone convert 5'7", and I'm pretty sure anyone could Google that and get that in centimeters. Okay, let's see. Osamu Sato is a perfect. Is perfect as a company director. He's calm. Blah 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 blah. Okay. I guess he represents the logic side of my brain, but he doesn't represent the emotional side. So I'll probably like pick one of these characters at random for every video that I try to make, and just change things up a bit. It's a way to change things up a bit. This site has a lot of things like, but I'm not gonna make these videos and teaching you how to use this site. I just basically just use it because it's the only place I can play mahjong, and I think it's the best place for anybody to play mahjong because it's in English. Actually, I used to play mahjong on a Japanese site. I believe it was called Tenho. I think that's what it was called. But that site is in Japanese, and obviously my friends can't read Japanese kanji, which is the Japanese characters that look like Chinese. So I tried to find a site that was in English, and luckily I found this site. So I think we should just jump into playing. But before I actually get into the gameplay, I would like to say that you can basically make an account here. When you make an account, you can link it with your Gmail or your Facebook, and then when you make I guess a gamer profile, you can basically click into the settings, and if you don't know how to play, there's a tutorial. This little graduation hat is the tutorial, so basically you can click it, and basically you can basically get a little tutorial on how to play Mahjong. And here you see all the tiles here. We got the character suits, which is the man, and then we have the circle suit, which is the pin. Um, these could probably represent coins, but my friends like to represent them as pancakes. So, they do have pancakes in Asia. I believe they call them teppanyaki. I believe that's what they're called. Yeah, like this is coming from a guy that studied Japanese for 2 years. I barely remember the foods in Japan, so I gotta re-educate myself on that too. And we have the bamboo suit here. Now, it's kind of weird because you see a bird here. I believe this is a peacock. But that represents the one of bamboo, so and you see these little numbers up here. In the game, by default, they give you these numbers so you don't get confused on which number is which. But I usually play without these numbers because I've gotten used to reading these characters. So I apologize in advance, but if you do play Mahjong Soul, just get used to like reading these characters because it's just so much more convenient. And here are the wind suits. The wind suits and the dragon suits are probably the hardest. The dragon suits are a little bit more self-explanatory because, one is blank and one is green and one is red. But then you get the wind suits and it gets, and people get confused because they actually have to know how to read these. Not read them like how it's read in the language, but basically like know what it means. So like, but they always go in order. It's always like east, south, west, and north. And usually east is the dealer. At the beginning of every game, but the dealer changes, so East changes all the time. But that's getting into the technicals, and I don't want to get into the technicals. So basically, the point of Mahjong, I guess, is just basically just to complete a hand. So basically, it's like poker. Poker, you basically have to complete a hand, but instead of relying on the deck, you rely on your opponents, and basically I'm not going to show you how to make a hand. I'm just basically skipping through this tutorial just to show you their different patterns. You can make triplets, you can make sequences like 1, 2, 3, or in this case 7, 8, 9, and all that stuff. So this tutorial basically covers the basics, but in all fairness, you will not master everything about Mahjong in the first game I play. Because especially Japanese Mahjong, because Japanese Mahjong has several different rules. So I believe that's it for the tutorial. I just skipped through it, and I apologize in advance if you wanted to go through it. But if you really are interested in playing Mahjong, check out Mahjong Soul. I'll put the link in the description just so you guys can check it out. And the more people playing this game, the more mainstream. If it gets mainstream, then I would be very happy. I believe Mahjong is a very fun game to play, especially if you're not gambling. I find Mahjong is much more fun when you don't gamble. Anyway, I'm going to get into the gameplay. So there are several rooms. There's the bronze room, which is basically played by people when they start out, they play in the bronze room because it's basically you don't need coins to get in here. So basically, yeah, it's for novices, and this is good practice. This is a good practice room. You don't really earn copper, which is these coins here. You don't earn copper from this room because it's basically meant for beginners, and obviously if people can earn copper from here, then many of the adapt players would probably just take advantage of the noobs here. So not that that's a bad, I mean, not that being a noob is a bad thing. It's just that you don't earn anything by just punching down. That's what I think. Now, I always play in the silver room. The silver room is where the adapt and expert players play. Now, expert, I don't know what their metrics are. I don't know what the levels of expert is. I don't know what the level of master is. But, I can't stream playing in any of these rooms because, they're meant for experts. So I usually play in the silver room. So you'll be given a list of ways to play. So East basically means that you're playing only 4 games. You're only playing 4 games within one round, and that's the East round. Now, South round, like when you have South, that basically means you're playing 8 games. You're playing 8 games with different dealers. Now, games are defined by how many times the dealer has changed. And sometimes the dealer can win like multiple times, and you'll be stuck in like say East 2 for like probably like an hour. because the person just can't stop winning, you know? There are games like that, and sometimes people get annoyed with it. So, enough of me talking. Let's just get into the game by play. I'm probably going to play one East round, you know, because I don't want to make this video too long. So now it's the waiting game. Okay, here we go. So now the game's starting to load up. And I apologize if my mouse keeps moving around. You know, this is my first video, so I'm just trying to get used to not flooding everything. And I turned the sounds off because usually there's cute voices and music playing in this game, but I turned it off so that you guys can hear my voice and concentrate on the visuals. So the reason why I made this channel is just so that I can just talk whatever the heck I want, and I don't have to worry about anything else. So I'm not going to just talk about Mahjong in these videos. I'm just basically going to talk about, you know, things that are important to probably all of us, like life and all that stuff. And also, before I digress into whatever it is I want to talk about, or whatever it is that I feel like I should talk about, because my mind is a complete mess, you have to know hands in this game, unfortunately. And if you don't know the right hands, you won't win. You have to have a hand pattern in order to win in Mahjong, and it's not very easy at the beginning. So after I'm finished with this game, I will show you what hands you can focus on to basically not be overwhelmed by how many patterns you have to memorize. So the thing of it is that the more you play Mahjong, the more of the patterns you begin to absorb in your brain, and you begin to see patterns that you didn't see before. And when those patterns appear, you begin to say, okay, I can make this hand in the beginning. And then when you draw out more tiles, you begin to see that, oh, I can make a better hand with this. So that's my little tidbit about that. That's a fair warning if you want to get into Mahjong. Japanese Mahjong is a little bit more difficult because I know there's Chinese Mahjong, and I believe there is a Vietnamese style of playing Mahjong. I don't know if it's a Vietnamese style or it's a copy of the Chinese style. There's also Hong Kong style, which is based off of this style. Actually, I think Japanese Mahjong is based off of Hong Kong style Mahjong. I'm not an expert, so don't quote me on that, but I do believe that's where it is, where it originated from, at least Japanese Mahjong at least. So I'm trying to take this 5 here, but it looks like that person beat me because they have 3 5s. I was trying to make this 3 4 5 sequence, but unfortunately this person beat me because they have 2 5s in their hand, and they wanted to take that 5 for themselves. So I'm going to take this 8. So this 8, I have 3 of them, so now I have to discard. So I discard this 7 here. For the characters, I will tell what numbers that they are. So, you know, that's less work on your part. That's enough of the Mahjong technicals. So the reason why I made this channel was just to basically put myself out there. I honestly don't know what I will talk about in these videos. These videos are just basically meant to kind of let myself go, at the same time allowing me to just free myself up from, you know, the daily existence of, like, you know, working a 9-to-5 job, and, you know, just trying to improve my life any way I can and try to help others out. It would be nice if I got a passive income from this, but I doubt that because, you know, Mahjong is not very, very popular, at least Japanese Mahjong at least. So, you know, I guess this is just my way of basically like trying to help popularize Japanese Mahjong in a way. But I'm just going to do it in a way that's just more natural to me. And me and my friends, we just play Mahjong just to, you know, just to pass the time, and we just talk about issues that are going on in the world, or just some ideas or epiphanies that we just discover along the way. Because the best thing about life is just learning things. And sometimes you learn lessons that kind of like disrupt your present point of view, such as, you know, like you have an identity crisis and then suddenly you realize you were wrong about something, and it kind of shakes up your identity a bit. I experienced that last night when I was watching like some self-help videos, and I probably should stop doing that because sometimes these videos kind of make me feel as if I'm not doing enough. And sometimes, like, people that talk about self help do talk about this issue. They talk about how people are so absorbed with self help that they basically watch so many self help videos that they don't really do anything to help themselves. And I sometimes get into that death spiral of self help. So, I just basically try to figure myself out as I go. And this pandemic really did put things into perspective for me because I admit I'm a very shy individual. And I have two sides in my brain. I have the very logical side, which is basically the side that I try to make sure that is in control. But also I have the emotional side, which basically says, oh no, I have to basically get a hot girlfriend, and I basically should put myself out there and do some wacky things and do these weird impressions of characters that I love from my childhood, from cartoons and stuff. And these two sides sometimes are in conflict. I remember last night when I was thinking about, what was I doing with my life? What was I doing to basically? Oh, this person won, but not a really big hand though. 2,000 is not that much. But anyway, I was thinking about, like, how can I improve my life? Like, why is it that my emotional side really wants to just basically have sex? That's basically what it is. Like, like, I guess guys and girls, like, or women, I should say, uh, just get thirsty. They just get thirsty. And, many people could debate me on this, and I accept that because, I don't know that much. I'm not all knowing. Uh, and, it's just all about trying not to go through life linearly. If you don't know what linearly is, I'm pretty sure a lot of people do. But for some people that never heard of the word, linearly means like going a straight line. That's basically what it means. And you can't go life linearly in a straight line because you realize that there's going to be a lot of bumps in the road, and there's going to be a lot of things that kind of like get in your way. But there are also things that get in your way, but they lead you into a better path. So this is why people say be open-minded about things. And for me, it's just that I always try to go the linear route a lot, and I don't mean to. And there are times when I just do it because, it's the most natural thing for me. But at the same time, it really just kind of distracts you from actually seeing the beautiful things in life. And I do say beautiful because life is filled with a lot of beauty. A good example of this is probably when I discovered my love for mathematics. Now, I'm not a mathematician, I don't work in university, or I'm not a student. I basically just love learning things. And when I discovered my love for mathematics, I kind of felt like, why didn't I see this before? And the reason why I didn't see this before was because I was distracted by so many things, like getting the hot girls and all that stuff, or like I'm just totally like inadequate when it comes to dating. So that my emotional side is coming out because my emotional side really wants to interact with women that I find attractive, and I will probably bring this up in some of my videos, but like many people, whether it be trolls or whether it be just people in the comments basically like, oh my god, this guy is so annoying, he's talking about just basic stuff about life, and then suddenly he just talks about girls for like a couple of hours. But that's how the mind works. You can't really control that. Okay, it seems like the game is over because East 4 is practically done. And this person won because they have over 30,000 points. And that's how basically it is. And I'm in third place. So I lose some money and I lose some experience points. And the best thing is that this displays your score. So I'm an inept player. I sometimes don't feel it because I do make noob mistakes. But in this game, it's all about strategy and luck. So sometimes you can have the ultimate strategy, but your luck is totally shit. So, the best thing I love about this game is not really just winning. It's basically the big hands. I love getting the big hands. So before I go into the next game. I'm probably going to play 2 games per video, and then I'm just going to basically sign off with a good salutations and a wish of positive energy to all you guys. So, for those of you who actually really want to play Mahjong Soul, like I said, there are requirements to making hands, and I don't want to make my channel just basically on just teaching people to play Mahjong, because I had to learn Mahjong from another YouTuber. His name is like Grunny. I will put his link. I will put his channel with his Mahjong videos in the description below, because this is where I learned how to play Mahjong, and he teaches you through his actual legit Mahjong set. And I think when you actually see it physically in someone's hands, I think it's really, really. I think it feels as if it's more reachable. I think. I'm just mixing up words here, but I think it's more feasible to actually see someone mess with the real life tiles and actually see them make the patterns through actual real solid objects rather than just a virtual world simulation. So when you guys start learning Mahjong, you will discover that you will have a difficult time making hands. So I guess this video is filled with a lot of more Mahjong technicalities, but I probably won't be talking about any of these technicalities in later videos. No, this is the settings. So basically, in order to figure out how to make a Mahjong hand that actually wins you points, you will have to go to this, and you will click this question mark, and in the game, I will show you how you can access it in game. So when you have matches with your friends, you basically can just click the question mark sign, and then you can see all these different hands. Now, as you can see, there's a long list. There's a long list of hands here. And you're probably like, I don't got time for that. Like, I don't got time to memorize these things, but I will give you, the thing of it is that I'm going to show you an easy way to memorize certain hands, but not memorize this whole entire list. So the one thing is that I'm going to show you how to memorize certain one Han hands. Han is basically the ranking system. So one Han means like 1 rank, 2 Han means 2 ranks, 3 Han, 3 ranks, and etc. Mangan, Yakuman, double Yakuman. Double Yakuman is pretty new to me because I never knew this category existed. But I do not think this actually exists in actual Japanese Mahjong. I think they just put this in the game to make it more point heavy. So double Yakuman is basically the ultra mega rare hands. These are the rare hands that you basically would get like once in maybe in a blue moon. So don't try to get these. Don't try to get these unless you actually can see that there's an 80, I would have to say 99% chance that you could probably get it. We're not going to go over those. I'm not expecting you to memorize these, because don't memorize these, because these are gonna come up when you actually learn how to see the patterns within these. I would have to say these two. 3 Han, I think there's least amount, so you don't have to memorize a lot for this one, and you definitely don't have to memorize for this one. So actually, I'm gonna start with the one that requires the least amount of memorization, which is the 6 Han, because it's the most. And it doesn't require that much memorization. So, full flush. So, in poker, if you played poker before, I think playing Mahjong is going to make it a little bit easier for you, because, there's things like full flush, half flush, and in Mahjong. So, I'm going to try to cover it in a way that's, that makes sense for people that play poker. But if you haven't played poker, these are all, I try to make it simplified, so basically you can memorize these certain patterns, so you don't have to worry about memorizing other patterns that get a little bit harder to memorize. So full flush, we have full flush. So full flush is basically just one whole suit. So basically, this is an old character suit, but you can have an old bamboo suit, you can have an old circle suit. There's no all honor suit. Well, there is an all honor suit, but that's basically one of the big hands, the Yakuman hands. But the Yakuman hands are basically the big hands that are like just so rare that they basically come up in a blue moon. So Don't worry about memorizing the big hands because I know what people do. They basically try to memorize the Yakuman hands, but they don't see the smaller hands. And they lose out because they realize that they can't get the Yakuman hands because obviously someone had taken the tile that they needed to make that Yakuman hand. So don't memorize the Yakuman hands just yet. So this is a full flush. Full flush. I think it's easy to memorize because it's just one whole suit. It's made of different sequences such as, three of a kind, sequences, and a pair. You always need a pair in your hand. So basically, as you can see in hand, it's made of 4 sequences of 3 or 4 because there's things called kan in this game. And let's go into the tutorial here. So, and if you don't want to go through the video tutorial that they have in here, you can go into the small tutorials here. So you can basically just read it off. Making a hand is not that difficult. So basically there are triplets, there's sequences, and you need a pair. There's also things called cons. I don't know if they talk about cons in here. Here we go. They have cons here. So cons are basically 4 of a kinds. I mean, 4 of the same tile. And there's a special rule revolving cons, but you will learn that in the gameplay. When you get a con, also be careful when you get cons because you can have 4 of a kind, but it could also be part of a sequence. So basically, let's say these were an east, these were 7s of bamboo. So I basically complete this hand because I'm basically close to completing this hand if I have 7 of bamboos here because I have 3 7 of bamboos. I have 5, 6, 7, 4 of circles here, like 3, 4 of circles, which I can make into a con if I want, but I probably shouldn't do that. And I have 1, 2, 3 here. So if I had 4 7s here, I could declare con and put this aside, but I shouldn't do that because it's gonna break up this 5, 6, 7 sequence, and that's gonna be a massive headache to deal with. So why make your life harder? You might as well make your life much easier. There are technical rules here, like Furiten, like if you discarded a tile beforehand that you probably would have needed, later. The game will penalize you for that, and it will make you not be able to win because you discarded, a tile that you never thought you needed, but you actually needed it now, and it really gets a headache. And me and my friends do get into this a lot. This mistake happens all the time, so don't feel bad if this happens to you. Like I have been playing Mahjong for about I think maybe 2 years, maybe a little bit longer. I don't remember when I actually started playing. But this mistake happens all the time, so don't feel bad that this happens. If it happens, it happens. The only way just because this happens to you, that doesn't mean you don't win. It means you just have to draw out the tile you need from the deck, or the wall as we call it. So you can still win. It's just that you will just have to draw it out instead of winning it off of somebody. And the best thing about Mahjong, I think, which makes it better than poker, in my personal opinion, is that you can win off other people. In poker, I think the only way you can win, and if people can correct me on this, is that the only way you win is through the deck. And sometimes that gets a little boring because it's just based on your luck. Mahjong itself is basically based on not only your luck, but you can also strategize on how to actually create a better hand and how to better increase your chances of winning. Or increase your chance of getting better, more points, I mean. So I'm going to play another game, and hopefully these 2 games will get you guys a little bit interested in playing the game. I am a little bit passionate about Japanese Mahjong because Mahjong is popular, but the Chinese version is more popular because obviously there are a lot more Chinese immigrants coming into different countries, and Chinese Mahjong is a little bit easier to learn because it doesn't require that many rules. But Japanese Mahjong, I think, is a lot more fun because it makes you feel like you're playing a game that revolves around gambling, but without the big money staking thing. Because Sorry about that. Like sometimes my web browser like to show a little bit of pop-ups here and there. But in all fairness, I do like Japanese mahjong a lot more because obviously I'm really into Japanese anime. I mean, I practically learned Japanese for 2 years in university, and anime is a big reason for that. But at the same time, mahjong I think was a really fun thing for me because I got people that were not into anime playing this, and they had a lot of fun. And I believe a lot of Filipinos play this game as well. As an Asian American, I get mistaken as Filipino when I'm not Filipino. If you want to guess what my nationality is, you can write it in the comments down below. Of course, people that know me, like my friends, they already know what nationality I am. But in all fairness, I do believe Japanese mahjong is a lot more fun. It and also in I'm pretty sure people that played mahjong, whether they be Filipino, Chinese, or Vietnamese, you will notice that the tiles are nicely organized in Japanese mahjong. In Chinese, Vietnamese, and Filipino mahjong, they tend to throw the tiles in the middle, and it becomes a complete mess. And that's not the fault of the players. It's just that that's how the game is played culturally in Vietnam and the Philippines and in China. And I think in Taiwan as well. Taiwan also plays the same style, and Hong Kong plays that same style. But Japanese mahjong is the only mahjong style that I've seen that is nicely organized. And there's a reason why they're nicely organized like this. Because it allows you to keep track of not only your tiles, but also your opponent's tiles. So basically, not only can you um, make sure that you know what tiles you need to win, you can also make sure that your opponents are playing fairly in these games. So it's a good check. It's a good check to monitor, and also you get to if you the more you play, the more you begin to read the discards, and when you read the discards, you begin to see, oh wait, this person discarded this tile and this tile, so that means maybe they're waiting for that tile. Who knows? Or maybe they're waiting, or maybe they're making that type of hand. Who knows? So, like, for example, I noticed that this person is north, and they have the north three sequences of three of north here. So that means they're going for like a north hand, because going for your seat. In this case, I'm the west. So if I had west here, which is it's not out yet, but this is the east, and if the east, the person who is sitting east has three of these, they can make a hand already. But I'm getting into the technicals again, and I probably should just slow down on the technicals because mahjong is a lot of stuff to absorb. It's a lot to absorb. So the more you play mahjong, or at least Japanese mahjong, you begin to learn the rules and you begin to understand what is it that you need in the hand, and it gets fun. It gets fun. So usually with me and my friends, we play while shouting at each other on Discord. So it's a lot of fun playing mahjong, and I want to make these videos to basically very engaging because there are a lot of things in life that just take my energy out, and I'm probably just a guy talking from his mother's basement. But I say that because I do live with my parents, and I live with my parents, and I'm not ashamed of it because my parents provide me shelter, and I provide them extra support just in case if something happens, if they need extra funding, like if we need to buy a new car or something like that, or if we need to buy something that is requires an extra pipe, or we have to reline the plumbing or something. I'm basically acting as the secondary passive income for my parents. So and the best thing is that I don't have to pay rent. So I just basically am there to take care of my parents in case they need me, like to take them to the doctor if they can't drive or something like that. you know and I guess I should talk about that. Many people make this bad rep about living with your parents. I guess with millennials staying with their parents from now on. Oh, and this person made a four of a kind, and you see that they basically unveiled another Dora here. And Doras are basically the thing that will get you more points. So I won't go into the big technicals with that. So you can read that in the rules, in the tutorial. But getting back to the subject, living with your parents is not that bad. Um, some people think it's the worst thing in the world because they know their parents, and some parents are more stricter than others, and I understand that. Sometimes you just have to move out of your parents' house because sometimes your parents kind of create this environment around you that seems, it could be toxic and sometimes detrimenting to your health. So sometimes people do have to move out, and they basically have to try to find their own place to feel comfortable and build that good mental space. But I love my parents, and my parents. Oh, I seem to have won by drawing. Nice. I probably am not going to get a lot of points for this, but there's nothing wrong with living with your parents. If you feel like you want to live with your parents, try to utilize that. A lot of people that are really good with money, and I mean not just rich people, but people that are actually good with handling money, like they know how to save, they know how to prioritize what to spend their money on. They tend to try to make things easier for themselves, and they don't really care about what other people think. So I live with my parents, and I don't really care what other people think because I know what I'm doing with my money. Now, I'm not an expert with money because I'm not a financial advisor, but I do invest, and I just try to help out people that I know who probably do struggle a bit with money or probably have issues with money. But I'm a person that really loves talking about money. Like I don't mind talking about my bank accounts or how much I have or whatever. Now I know that makes me sound pompous or something like that, but at the same time, like I'm just basically open with so many things. Of course, I won't talk about this with a stranger, um, obviously, but I will be excited about what are the latest crypto going up, or what are the latest stock that's popping or something like that. And sometimes at work, at my day job, sometimes like my coworkers, they get curious about what I'm doing with, like with my money and all that stuff. And like it's not like I hate my job. It's just that my job doesn't fulfill me as much as probably doing this does. So doing these videos is basically just my way of trying to put myself out there, but also I probably have repeated myself several times. But I will point out the small mistakes I do, and some people might get annoyed, but that's basically how life is. People sometimes like to point out their shortcomings, not because they want to put themselves down, but because they just want to show everyone that they acknowledge it. They acknowledge that these things are going to happen, and that they are okay with it. This is my way of dealing with. I'm going to make mistakes, and I'm going to deal with it. However, whatever happens, um, and like there, and if I do get like followers or subscribers on this YouTube channel, um, I hope so. There will be trolls, and I probably will have to learn how to deal with them. And I probably will get a lot of damaging comments, and honestly, I don't know if I'm prepared for that. But at the same time, I'm just good at jumping in and usually dealing with problems later. At least I hope so. I practically do that on a daily basis. But I have to learn how to do that when it comes to dating and try to interact with people, especially with women that I'm attracted to. And here I am talking about girls again, that sort of thing. I probably should say women because I am an adult, and like women are adults. I don't know why I keep saying girls. I think it's because I think that's a guy thing. Like guys, we talk about women like still saying like women, instead of saying women, we say girls, and I'm probably got to train myself to like stop doing that. And like I'm not perfect, and I have to acknowledge that I'm not perfect, but still, that's something that probably will bother me in my brain. And probably like it could be a good joke for the channel. It's like Peter, you said girls again. You got to learn how to start saying women. And like yeah. I understand. I have to learn how to start saying women because women, uh, women are just as good as men. Um, so yeah, I'm a feminist. So guys that are not feminists, and they basically want to put issues about like what women try to put on men to basically make men feel inferior. I get it. But uh, double standards are going to exist, and there will be some people in the comments that basically call out me on like what I say about whether it be women or men or whatever. But for me, I don't really, I really try not to criticize the genders too much. Um, because I try to observe everything and I try to understand both sides on everything. But I try to be open minded, and there are times when my view is challenged, and there are times when I watch videos that really challenges my identity. And I'm a person that basically is uncertain about everything in life. But the best thing about being uncertain about life is just um, it's just that it gives you a bigger perspective on how beautiful it is. And I know I'm romanticizing life, but you can't live life without romanticizing it a bit. But you can't isolate the pessimism that goes into life either, because the funniest things about life is that when it comes pessimistic at times. And I think British people know that better. I mean, I could be wrong because I know because I watch a lot of British humor, and like from what I observe, people from the UK, they tend to put a lot of emphasis on tragedy, and they try to make it funny. They try to make tragic events very funny, and I can't help but laugh at that. you know, um, I do feel bad for the person, but at the same time, it's not like I'm not saying like people from the UK are heartless or anything like that. It's just that there are different ways of viewing humor, and I love British humor, but some people don't like British humor because to them it's not obviously funny, because as an American we're so used to things being obviously funny, like sexual innuendos and uh, like we Americans, we basically would find like someone saying "oh my dick" like at the right time and think it's funny, and and it is funny, but at the same time, calling it clutch is basically like I think that's basically what makes things a lot funnier. Is like pulling a clutch, and I don't even know where I was going with that. I was probably trying to go with something very, very epiphanistic, if that's even a word. Something that basically meant to blow your mind, but I totally screwed that up. And, you know, but these mistakes will happen, and I have to deal with these mistakes. And I'll declare a con, and you will see. Ooh, I have another 8 of bamboo here. So the reason why these 8 of bamboos are shiny is because there's a 7 of bamboo here. So basically, these are door indicators, and the door indicators um, basically tell you that the next tile in the sequence is going to give you more points. So basically, I have 3 of these. So basically, I'm going to go up a Han. So, oh, this person won. Dang, this always happens to me. Whenever I get more door in my hand, someone beats me to the win. But that happens. That's the luck part of the game. And I realize I just went into the technicals again. But I guess that shows you guys how much I really want you guys to play this game, because it really is a good stress reliever, because you don't have to be the smartest person to know Mahjong. You basically just have to be a person that just wants to put your luck on the table, not your life. Then you'll be playing the Yakuza, which is the Japanese mafia, if you guys don't know. So, I mean, I I play this game because like it's very relaxing to play this game because I don't have to be the smartest person in the game room, uh, but I do have to learn how to play, and learning how to learning how to play is very important in this game because it develops you to see patterns in in these hands, but also it allows you to see patterns that you never thought you would see before. For instance, I am a nerd, as you probably can guess from what I've been talking about so far. I'm a nerd, and I'm proud to be a nerd. Um, and sometimes I don't understand why people are just like they don't want to be considered nerds, even though they are extremely geeky. But I guess they want to be called geeks because they want to be they don't want to be stereotyped as that person that basically like has that pocket protector and talks nasally or something like that or something like that. I don't even know what type of voice I was doing with that, but people get what I mean. And I'm proud to be a nerd, and I acknowledge it. And I have a lot of nerdy hobbies. I love reading. Reading is a lot of fun. I mostly read a lot of nonfiction because whenever I read fiction, I put it down and I never read it again. And I don't know why I have have this habit. I would buy nonfiction. I would buy a lot of nonfiction. I would try to finish it, but there are times when I just put it down and I don't pick it up again. But I tend to finish nonfiction books very easily. I mean, much easier than when I read fiction books, because when I read fiction books, I just can't finish them. I just can't finish them. And the only fiction book that I ever finished was a children's book, and I didn't even read this when I was a child. I read this book when I was practically like I think in my early 20s, and if any of you guys know this book, it's called the Ivy Pocket series. It's basically about a young girl who dresses a maid, and she thinks she's the toppest shit in everything she does, but she's actually the most horrible at everything she does. She always makes a lot of mistakes, and it's very, very funny. It's a very funny children's book, and I'm like, I actually enjoy this, and it actually has like great illustrations to show the characters and the events in the book. It's a three books. It's a 3 book series, and it's the only fiction book I ever finished as an adult. The other fiction books that I bought that were meant for like young adults or adults, I never finished them. Um, and I guess this is the reason why I never read Harry Potter. I watched the movies, so like I committed sacrilege. So I don't read the Harry Potter books because, like, I guess I'm just really terrible at reading fiction. I can't read fiction books. But the books that I do read revolve around, personal finance, self help. I don't read that many self help books. I mainly read a lot of math and physics books. And I do read a lot of technical books, but I don't finish the more technical ones. I mostly finish the books that are meant for like a broad audience. If you were wondering who my favorite author is, it's Michio Kaku, Professor Michio Kaku. I will give him that title because I know that he's a professor at NYU, I believe. And it's because of him that it's because of his books I love physics. I actually grew to love physics. I don't know the technicals of physics yet. I do open a physics textbook from time to time. I haven't been opening one recently because I've been trying to learn Korean. Um, and I also I'm trying to get back to learning Japanese again because learning languages is not easy for me, but it feels more bearable to me than learning physics and mathematics. Now, I don't hate mathematics and physics. I actually probably I probably love mathematics more than physics, because I love physics because it gives me the expectation of knowing how a system will work. I love math because it gives me the tools I need to actually try to dictate how to make sense of a physical system that will be reflected in a pattern. And in math, it's about patterns. Many people think that math is about numbers. It's not about numbers. It's basically about patterns. And when you actually find that pattern in a system, or in this case, a physical experiment, you begin to see that, oh, I can repeat this using an equation and I can make predictions using that equation. So the reason why math is so important is because, it allows us to make predictions on how a pattern's going to behave. Many people don't know that because they're so used to number crunching in school. And the reason why people don't love math is because they're so used to doing these number crunchings in school. Uh-oh. Okay. So usually when the game freezes like that, it means that someone's waiting to call on something. Or they're thinking about it. And sometimes that's the most nerve-wracking part of the whole entire game. Uh-oh. So I'm stuck between a hand that I can make and a hand that I probably should make. So I don't know what I'm going to do here. It's going to be the most hardest thing that I'm going to end up doing in this game. But I see I can make probably 7 pairs. So you see I have a pair here, pair here, pair here, pair here. So I probably have to disassemble this sequence here. And that's going to be the hardest thing to do because both of these are shiny, and more likely no one's going to discard any of these shiny ones. Oh, yeah, I might as well disassemble this because I know this is going to be more difficult to make. So I'm going to discard this 3 of bamboo. Hopefully, okay, good. Now, when a person throws out a stick like this is a Ricci stick. This means that they're ready and they're waiting for a tile. And obviously, I can look in their discard pile, and I'm going to discard another 3 because I'm afraid that if I discard this 5, it's going to make them win. And I've been partially paying attention to this game because I've been talking to you guys, and I guess I do love talking to people, but I mostly listen a lot because people love to listen, and I guess I'm gonna try to discard this. Oh, good, they didn't declare Ron. Now Ron means that they just win off a discard. Um, if you've been watching up until now, you notice that I win with a sumo, which means that I just drew the tile that I needed. So sumo and Ron are just basically 2 ways of winning in this game. I know I've been talking about the technicals, but I've been talking them moderately, so you probably will remember it while I'm talking about certain stories or certain ideas. But getting back to what I was talking about, which I'm trying to fish here because I'm trying to remember exactly what topic was I focusing on. Mathematics, yeah, mathematics. So mathematics is just basically pattern finding, and it's sad to me. Oh, it looks like I've won, and you're probably wondering what happens to this Ricci stick. I get this stick, so I get a thousand more points. Nice. Oh, under the river. Now, under the river means that it's the last discard. I do use the Japanese words for the hands. So, but I usually use it with my friends because I sometimes watch pros play. Now, just because I watch pros play doesn't mean I know how to play like a pro, okay? It's just basically like I just want to see how their play style is. And sometimes it's fun watching pros play because they discard things and they sometimes put themselves in footy-ten, which is they're locked. They're locked and they only can rely on the wall to give them their winning. So they can't win off other people. The reason why I watch pro games is because sometimes these pros, they purposely put themselves in footy-ten, which means that they can only win from drawing from the deck or the wall. And sometimes you end up asking as like someone who's watching is like, why would they do that? Why would they purposely lock themselves where they can't win off everybody else? And, and sometimes they end up winning and sometimes they just end up losing because, they play the wrong strategy. And sometimes you can strategize to basically make your opponents win because you know that they're not going for a high hand based on what they opened up with. Patterns are very important, especially in Mahjong. Patterns are very, very important. And, I guess that's the reason why I got into mathematics is because I'm really into patterns. And I guess that's why I'm into this game. I used to play another game that's from Asia. It's a Chinese game, but it was popularized by the Japanese. It's called Go. I guess in Chinese they call it Weiqi. I believe that's what it's called. In Chinese, I don't know Mandarin, so I don't know if that's the correct term. I think in Korea it's called Paduk, and I don't know if I'm even pronouncing it right, but Go is another pattern game. Many people compare it to Chinese checkers, which is a very inaccurate thing because obviously Chinese checkers is not Chinese. It's actually from Germany, which not many people know or not many people realize. I don't know why it's called Chinese checkers because it's played on I think it's called a hexagram, and it's played with tiny little marbles that you just move across. I don't know how to play Chinese checkers, what they call it, but I do know how to play Go. Go, I think I took that game way too seriously in high school because I treated it as if it was like the ultimate thing that I needed in order to prove that I was a success. And whenever I lost, I would whine. I would basically not want to learn because I was just so down on myself for losing. And many people just got tired of my BS and basically just I just would leave the room. I would rage quit, basically. So I don't play Go as often as I probably want to because that feeling of inadequacy is kind of still in me a bit. and I kind of feel like that's gonna bring out the worst in me. So I kind of don't play Go because of that reason. I know how to play, and I'm willing to teach people how to play Go. It's just that I just don't see myself being an expert in it because Go, you have to constantly punish yourself by losing a lot. You have to lose a lot in order to get better, and the ranking system is way it's way gargantuan. And to me, I think Mahjong, I think it's a lot more fun because there's not really a ranking system. It's based on luck and strategy. And I think that's what life is all about. It's just basically having that balance of knowing that you have control, but also knowing that you can improve based upon the things that you don't have control of. And it's really a great way to have fun, but also it's a great way to know that you can improve on something that you know is obtainable. I think with Go, it felt like I think with Go, I felt like it was meant to be attainable for me, but I think it was kind of too high of an ambition for me. So that gets into my next topic, which is I guess I will move on to another topic, which is trying things out, but realizing that you're not going to be successful in those areas. So for me, when I got into physics and mathematics after graduating from university, I was not a physics or mathematics major. I was actually an English major. And when I discovered my love for math and physics, I felt like I had to go back to school to actually learn math and physics. And I did that. I actually went back to my community college, and basically just tried to learn math and physics. I didn't, and I ended up not taking physics. I did took physics, but I dropped out because I was going through some emotional times, mainly revolving around dating. You know, long story short, I basically was like close to actually possibly dating somebody, but like emotions got too too overbearing, and I ended up like creating the wrong vibes, and it didn't work out. It's shameful to me because I just like was going through a little bit of an emotional challenge because in dating sometimes people test you, especially women. They test men because they want to make sure that they're good candidates for them. And when men, and I'm the type of guy that hasn't been challenged on that. And when I was put to the challenge, I failed, and I had to accept that failure. Um, but there's also another way of looking at it. The other side of looking at it is that that person was probably not good for you because they made you feel as if you had to continuously climb a cliff that they set up for themselves. And and there's nothing wrong with people having standards. Like for me, I probably would probably like look more towards women that I find very attractive. And for men, like we are idiotic when we find women attractive. What I mean idiotic is that we're very primal when it comes to our attraction with women. So I'm not going to deny that I do like women with good figures. And like if anyone's curious, I am a boob guy. I will say that, and I'm not afraid to say it. And I'm in first place, and I believe that's game. Oh, nice. That's a good way to end the video. So basically, I won. So to finish off, men are very primal when it comes to dating, and uh, for me, I'm just basically trying to accept that primal side of me, and it's never easy because you want to make a good first impression, and the only way to continuously try to make a good first impression, and to as many dating experts will say, the best way to actually attract women that you're really really attracted to is to keep trying to talk to these women that you're attracted to. And I haven't been doing that. So after this pandemic is over, I kind of feel like I have to actually do that. I have to actually walk up to women and actually start talking to them. But of course, the only places I go are basically Barnes and Noble and the mall. And talking to women is probably the hardest thing, especially when you go to the mall or Barnes and Noble, because women nowadays look more mature than their age. So you're like, for guys it's a lot more intimidating to talk to women, because you don't know if you're going to end up talking to someone and suddenly it's going to be red flags, and suddenly you're going to have FBI sirens like ringing in your head because you realize that you've actually been talking to someone who's actually meant to be in high school, but they look like they're actually a college student. So um but men dating has always been harder. It's always going to get harder, especially for men. But women also have a hard time dating as well, because there are some women that want to ask men out as well. And I guess I'm going to end the video with, I hope you guys enjoyed my little rants, and I hope the technicals of Mahjong don't intimidate you from actually getting into learning this game. And if you like what you saw, just hit up the subscribe button, drop a like, or put in a comment on saying, you enjoy the video, or, this video sucks, I don't want to see your video anymore. You should stop making videos or something like that. I mean, that's something, because you actually watched the video. I don't want to make the video too long, so I hope you enjoyed what you guys saw, and hopefully this will not be the last time I make a video. So I will try to make time to make videos, because I do have a day job. I actually took a day off today because, work is not overbearing. It's just that I felt like I needed a break. And so, hopefully on my next day off, I'll be able to make videos like this, because I do live with my parents, and making videos while my parents are home, it doesn't seem like I can be open with these videos just yet in order to be talking to a microphone out loud to of audience I can't see yet. So usually on my days off, I'm gonna try to fit in a video, and I try to upload it as fast as possible. So I hope you guys like what you saw, and take care, and positive vibes all around. Salutations, and I hope to see you in the next video. Peace.